Meanwhile, many of you will remember the briefing I gave you sometime last week where it was said that the Paris Fund, almost a Paris Saint-Germain, well, the funds from Paris, which has really rocked the boat across state governors and the EFCC, were looking at each other differently, with the governors asking the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, to weigh in on the matter and tell the EFCC to calm down small on this matter and see how things should be done differently. Well, it looks like it's getting even more interesting between those executives, arm of government, alongside with the EFCC. Now, here's the part that becomes quite interesting. Many of you will recall that specific instructions were given by President Muhammadu Buhari as regards how spending of the Paris Fund should be done. In fact, it talked about pension, it talked about salary, which were practically in at least 24 states outstanding at the time. Outstanding meaning nobody had really found a magic formula to pay off. Only a few states were able. Only a few states were not really essentially in some sort of trouble with paying up salaries of workers and the rest of them. True, very true. Now, those specific instructions, whether this party or that party, it was a refund. Meaning, hold on, you get my point now. Money that was being brought back into the Nigerian economy that belonged to each state, but distributed by the federal government. In other words, in simple English, when the funds came back, for example, if funds were to go back to, let me look for a state that wouldn't get me tongue twisted. Kaduna State, for example. Oh, Kaduna State has received their share of the Paris Fund that was withdrawn or taken, and now they've received it back. Now, here's the truth. Those funds, by tradition on how they came, were not exactly assigned. You know, there's a part where you write in your budget and say, I'm going to use 20 billion for education. Everybody says education, 20 billion. Works, 2 billion. That billion. You can do a match and mismatch. But when funds come back to you, and those funds, one can practically say they were originally the funds of the state. Gone for some time, but the funds are back. They were the funds of the state. Now, the big question is, shouldn't the governors possibly determine how they spend those money? For those who want to spend on pension, they spend on pension. Those who want to spend on salaries, oh, good and fine. Those who want to spend or have the girlfriends miss up the money. You know, the story that's been debunked and alleged and debunked that somebody's girlfriend decided to take the money or part of the money, or somebody's girlfriend helped him. I can't. The story is messed up anyway. Money going around in some sort of way, right? Yes. You get my point in a short while. So the money comes back to the state governors, the Paris Fund. That's what I'm talking about. It comes back to the hands of the governors. And they look at their states and say, well, I think I know exactly what my state needs. The federal government usually bails us out, but this is not a bailout. This is me getting back the money that's been brought back to my state. Can I, for all careful, and forgive the next word I'm going to use, on careful reasons, choose how I spend the money that's come back? Many of you remember that this started out in the instruction about, okay, well, guys, well, good thing is that the Paris funds are back. Please pay pensioners. That was on 13th of January or thereabout, around that time. That was the instruction from the federal government to the state governments. Pay your workers. Some obeyed, some wondered why. This is not exactly a bailout fund. I mean, some states could be left out from the park. Lagos, Rivers, Delta, Akwa Ibom, where pension was not an issue. However, pension is an issue for some other states. Hold on, you get my point in a short while. And then for some other, it was a serious issue. 20 months arrears. 20. If you want not feeling around 20, count 1 year and then add another 8 months to it. That means the baby practically has teeth. It could possibly eat kuli conveniently. If it was a baby that was born 20 months ago, the baby possibly can crack down on kuli right now because he has some teeth to go through, to go by. So, the accusation started that, wait, excuse me, sir, federal government, you've instructed that they pay us our pension of 20 months arrears from this fund, but some governors, sir, they're compelling us, the pensioners, to forfeit our percentages of the entitlement, saying that why pay all the pension when we, the state governors, don't even have enough money to go around? Why pay the woman selling kose and not pay the woman selling akara? Excuse me, sir. Some people voiced out to the federal government saying, well, this doesn't feel really good. I think I have a petition to write against some of my state governors, or some state governor, and some did. Where, even as I speak, there's much talk going on about, wait, can a governor be investigated for financial misappropriation? Why did I use the word misappropriate? It doesn't suit this at all. Because the money was to be given back to the states. It wasn't bailout. It wasn't appropriated by anybody, but it was essentially money. The only thing that money came with was a set of instructions, a set of manner on who to spend it on. You get to my point? So, you have the likes of the Nigerian Governors Forum, who at this time is not very much pleased into the fact that somebody out there is searching, digging around, and trying to make it all sound like they've eaten money. Oh, forgive me that I said eating money, but taking money. Yes, taking money that doesn't belong to them, when they actually are the custodians of how the money should be spent in the very first place. Oh, can you imagine? I was going to write Nigerian Governors Forum, a root fund. Okay, so correcting that very quickly. So the governors actually have a say in how they choose to spend. The money came with instruction. It didn't come with a bailout. Here's another debate. The federal government says, oh, you want to refuse our instruction on this? We will make sure there's an audit on this money. We want to know, you that got 2 billion, you that got 3, you that got 4, 5, and more. What did you do with this money? How much money are we even talking about when we talk about the Pari Fund? 522.74 billion. The Pari Club Fund, the excess deduction on Nigeria's foreign debt. And you know, states normally contribute into this account, but so this is the part where they say, wait, we want to be able to spend this money on other things. Meanwhile, President Buhari, you're telling us to spend 25% of this money to offset outstanding workers and tax. 25% is plenty. Do you know what we have to deal with in our states? And by the way, I'm saying this, it doesn't necessarily cut across any political affiliations. It's what is going on. In other words, simple arguments and grumblings, like, should the federal government be able to instruct, direct, if you may say, how the funds from the Pari Club excess deductions, with much of the money now belonging to the state, should be spent? And if they have failed to spend it according to how they were instructed to spend, can their accounts be audited? Can they be even investigated? It's really confusing. In other words, if somebody comes around and decides to drop like a $10 billion some sort of fund right now, and says, oh, for all the states going through a turbulent time, federal government share the money. Share it for them. Would this also mean that the sharing of the money should come with instructions? That the federal government go too far, or the state governments also laying claim to the fact that we know how we need this money in our states. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. We should be allowed to determine how the money is spent. Did they go too far? Because the arguments, I tell you, down the line or down the road, I understand now, is the state governments, through the Nigerian Governors Forum, feel the need to be able to tell how, when, why, how to spend the money. In fact, if you think it's just a casual conversations, the governors they're daring the EFCC over the alleged probe of the party fund spending. They are preparing for a showdown, says one headline. The NGF says, we are waiting for you to come and probe us. Another headline says, we are waiting for you, governors tell EFCC. And then you hear things like, oh, the Nigerian Governors Forum plans to send a delegation to visit Buhari in the United Kingdom. Should they be told how to spend their funds? Let me quote the chairman of the forum, Abdul-Aziz. He said, we discussed the issue of the Paris Club and London Club. We observed that the EFCC said it is doing investigation. Yeah, we support the federal government for fighting corruption. We are waiting for the EFCC to come up with what they say is the investigation and come up with the results. Should they be investigated on how they choose to spend the same money? All right, I go on a quick break, and when I come back, I open up the phone lines. It's the issue of new funds. What about if this funds is creating some level of rancor? What about other funds when they do come in? Yes. Will the governors be pleased to collect money with instructions, which, by the way, is what I hear the Ministry of Finance and the governor, the reason why there's that clog, of discussion clog between them. Adeosun said, we told you to collect this money with instruction. Fayose said, wait, didn't you give the different everybody from the FAC account with instruction again? And Adeosun says, you did not read the instruction before you signed. You did not provide this. You did not bring your pencil and biro to this examination. And Fayose says, is it your business? Right. If I choose to write with crayon, is that not good enough? I'm just animating this. Is it really in the technicalities of how you receive the funds, or much about what the technicalities you are able to address with the funds? After the break, I talk to you.